It's been 6 years since the last Hitman game, and not only for IO Interactive, but for any game developer in general. That's a pretty big distance between games. Why?
Well, when we built Hitman Absolution, we got busy building a new technology called Glacier 2. So all our previous games, the previous 8 games in IO were built on Glacier 1. In fact, the first Hitman game ever was built on Glacier 1. So for us, going in and building the next generation engine, if you will, it's ready for all the new consoles and all that stuff, was obviously a huge undertaking. But it also meant we had a long time to figure out how we wanted to build a Hitman game and make sure that we got some of the fundamentals right, how you control Hitman, how it feels to move around, how to build the AI into a much more organic and, if you will, grayscale enemy than it was in the previous games.
You mentioned that one of the reasons was new technology, but was there a reason for you guys to build your own? I know that IO Interactive was started by people who came from the old demo scene and really knew how to get the most out of the hardware. Yeah. Was that, kind of a, something that you guys had to achieve, or was it simply a case of you guys not finding an engine that fitted your game?
Well, I think Hitman is part of our DNA at IO, and so is also building technology ourselves, and also trying to excel within the areas we want to excel. So, for instance, both in terms of the visuals, how beautiful the engine is, it can really stand up to anything out there. But also in terms of, if let's say we want to build the biggest crowds in the world, so the most dense, most with the highest fidelity of simulation of all these different brains, and that requires that you actually do it yourself because no one else is doing it. So you can't really go out and buy anything that resembles this, and that's obviously something we feel is an integral part of being IO. That we have one programming track which is super strong and really cutting edge, and then we take these things and we turn it into great gameplay.
But what is the Hitman DNA? Because it's easy to say that Hitman is a stealth game and you go out and assassinate people, but a lot of games are doing that. But Hitman has sort of gone its own way. It's become its own franchise, and for sure it has millions of fans out there who doesn't play any other stealth games. So what is the Hitman DNA?
Well, that's also the question we got to ask ourselves when we started building Absolution, when we also built the engine. I think what we ended up saying is that freedom of choice is very strong. This feeling that you can do whatever you want, which is also why we, when we built Absolution, we took, a long, hard look at, AI reactions, making sure that they're smooth and fun no matter what you do. If you fail a little bit, it's not the end of the world. The AI will spread its knowledge organically, so they don't know everything. Not everyone in the level will know who did what. So if you can contain it, if you can kill only the guys who saw, for instance, that you took a disguise, you're still good to go with that disguise. So, I mean, really trying to accentuate player choice was a very, very big thing for us. And then also, as I mentioned, crowds are a very big thing for us, simulating these vast amounts of people and how you can blend in with these guys, how you can use them to your advantage, but also the challenge it gives you when you have to kill someone in a bright, public place, like in the beginning of the game. It's kind of a challenge that you have so many witnesses, so how do you want to deal with that? And a third element is also the disguise gameplay, which we feel is something that, when you're in a disguise, maybe in a crowd and you're killing someone in an accident, you're probably playing Hitman and not any other game. Yeah.
There's been quite a lot of stealth games this year, and most, if not all of them, have said, yeah, we allow you to do whatever you want in the game, meaning that you can go about solving the missions in different ways. And as I take it, that's also a way that the new Hitman, in particular, has approached mission-based structure. But is this a necessity? Could you just, build the old school hardcore Hitman game where every mistake gets punished instantly, or do you have to also make it playable for a new audience?
Well, I think it actually comes right back to what you said in the beginning. It's about the choice. I think every game wants to be as big on choice as possible. So actually what that means for us is we will both allow you to play in a very, very punishing purist mode. If you want that, that's your choice basically. But we also want you to be able to play the game on normal difficulty or on easier difficulties, where it's actually a little bit more forgiving. But another part of making a lot of choice for our players, also making them aware of just how much they can do. So a good example from the previous games, they were also very big on choice. Blood Money had a lot of choice, but we weren't very good at communicating all the different things you could do in Blood Money. So what we did in Absolution was we invented the challenge system, which, for instance, in the very first hit level in the game, where you kill the King of Chinatown, I think we have I think it's 12 different challenges for how you can kill him in different ways. I think there are maybe 17 challenges in that little level itself. So what the challenges do is they describe to you maybe that you can be a master poisoner, maybe that he could die from some sort of accident. It hints to you what could happen. It doesn't really tell you what to do, but that's a way of giving you choice without really taking anything away from the game. And then on top of that, we actually decided to say, okay, for every challenge you do, you'll get a little bit of a score increase. So if you want to be the completionist and you want to, be top of the leaderboard, you'll actually have to kill him 12 different ways and, show mastery of every disguise and all the other mechanics in the game.
One of the really big and really, to me at least, exciting new components of the game is the online mode, the contracts mode, right? Where you can set up challenges and kind of like a bizarre version of Simon Says, I take it. Where did that idea come from?
Well, contracts mode originally stemmed from, we had two things we wanted to do. We wanted to bring Hitman online in some way. But we also really wanted it to be in a way that fit the franchise, because we're very much aware that we have a very big tradition with Hitman. So we wanted it to feel like it's a natural part of that game. And then we also looked at what the fans were doing with Blood Money. They were already, showing videos of clever ways of killing the targets. But then they also started picking other targets and challenging each other to, hey, can you kill the clown in this level? So it wasn't really formalized in any way, but they were already doing it on forums. And we said, hey, that's actually pretty neat. You can actually go in and, find a lot of replay, because the whole level is working. It's sort of simulating a real little murder puzzle already. So why not change the rules? And so what we said is, what will happen if any NPC in the game could be a target? And it sort of started from there. But it also posed a little bit of a different question, because, okay, so one thing is that you can kill anyone, but that doesn't really necessarily mean that you can share it with people. So how do you build a sort of do-it-yourself murder generator without, building a level editor, for instance? Because a big part of Absolution, both in the single player and also in contracts, is this ambition to make it, everything should feel intuitive and happen inside the game. So somehow we had to come up with a way to do that, and that's how contracts actually got shaped. The fact that you'll go into contract mode, and instead of playing in story, everything is running, but now you're actually playing and you're marking your targets, and when you kill them, we'll actually monitor how you killed them, what happened, and we'll constantly monitor whether you were, were you seen, did you kill anyone except your target, all that stuff we'll keep track of, and then when you're done, that will actually get saved into the contract. And what that means is that if you can do it as a player, you completed the contract, it means it can be done. So we kind of, you can't get these impossible contracts that no one can create, and when you're doing it, you can kind of get some good feedback on whether what you're doing is fun, and perhaps you're sharing with your friends. Most people will be thinking of their friends when they're doing this, so you also know whether it will be challenging for them or whether it will be fun already when you're doing it. So that really fit the bill, and that's when we kind of knew we had something really cool, because now we had contracts ad libitum forever for everyone, and then a good way of creating them where people would get feedback on what they were doing.
It must have been really hard to plan for, though, because the possibilities of what players will be able to do, and you as a game maker must know that immediately there will be players trying out for the strangest solutions to contracts. So how do you go about not only imagining but also planning for a mode like this?
Well, that's exactly what we want. Basically, we want our players to exceed our expectations and figure out weird ways of doing all that stuff. That's really what the game is about. I think that is the beauty of Contract, that it's actually on top of the system we already built. We are building a very, very living world, right? We have a lot of organic AI that can react to almost anything. The AI can try to arrest you, it can shoot you, it can call for backup, it can flank, it can get confused when you're now in another disguise than you were before. All that stuff is already running. So it's actually just saying, let's add targets to that mix. So it actually fit very nicely with the game, because it's very much just riding on all the good stuff we have in single player in the first place.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.